Hello viewers, today we are working on this BMW. Let me show you quickly what is the complaint and what is the issue with this car. This is the M6 version and it has the S63 engine, which is the V8 with the two turbochargers on the top. Where to start up? I'm going to start with this. So the customer was calling me all the time that it has a flat battery, that he's always getting the message that the coolant is low on the instrument cluster. He told me that he was feeling it all the time, but still it was stating that the coolant is low. So I'm going to show you what was the issue with this especially. So he was feeling this reservoir, let me show you. And as we can see, it's full. So he was feeling this and he was like, why is still stating that the coolant is low? It's because this reservoir is for the water to air intercoolers. So this goes directly underneath the intercoolers here, and this is the exit points here which came back in the reservoir. But the real coolant reservoir for the engine is here. It was bone dry. So yeah, I fill it with, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 liters, somewhere around that. But now yeah, we don't have any more this message. So I'm thinking that he is having some issues with overheating, and this was the main issue, that the coolant fan was always turned on, because when the car detects that the coolant is low, it's turning on the coolant fan for a limp mode, so to try to preserve the engine for overheating. I'm going to start up the engine to show you how it sounds. Yeah, I'm going to start it without one of the air mass meters. So the other thing that the owner has issue with is the vacuum on the doors. So let me start it up. Sounds pretty bad because we have severe misfire. As you can see, the check engine light is blinking, and on the fault codes we have a misfire on cylinder number 2. The cylinder number 2 is this one here. I'm going to turn it off because I want to heat up the engine, because I need to disassemble it. So let me turn it off. Yeah, right now the car is running only on one more time. It's running only on one bank. It's turning off one of the banks. So I believe it's running only on the driver's side bank, which is here from cylinder 5 to 8. The disassemble bank is from 1 to 4, which means this ECU is contributing for this. We have 2 ECUs on this engine, for bank 1 and bank 2, which is actually are water cooled, as we can see here. It's pretty overly engineered engine. Yeah, it's really nice engine, but it's really expensive to have it. So now I'm going to disassemble a little bit and we're going to see what is happening. For now the things doesn't look very promising. With this low coolant and overheating all the time, probably the things are not going to be pretty. But actually when I crank up the engine while the car is not starting, the compression feels pretty equal through all the cylinders. I know the compression is lower with the Valvetronic actuated and the valves opened up smaller than on full throttle, but still it sounds that all the cylinders are contributing. Probably the issue is not mechanical. Okay, so because the misfire is occurring on bank 1, which is the cylinders number through 1 to 4, we're going to check is the MOSFETs inside the ECU working, for which I'm going to connect my oscilloscope on the, let's call this black wire. In our case it's white blue, because we have, as you can see here, S63 engine, and if it was N63 it was going to be white red. And yeah, I have checked the wire for continuity, and it is all fine. All the wires are fine to this coil. So we have one power, one ground and one control wire. So we're going to check this control wire, what's happening when we start up the car. I'm going to connect to coil number 2 on cylinder number 2 and on cylinder number 3. So I'm going to connect, because I have only 4 channel scope, I'm going to check them 2 by 2. First we're going to check 2 and 3, and after that we're going to check number 4 and number 1. So the coils from 1 to 4, which are actually on the passenger side, are controlled by ECU A46. This is the master ECU. The slave ECU is A45, which now you cannot see it because it's controlling the other 4 coils from 5 to 8. But if you look where this is located, so as you can see, the ECU is located on the passenger side, where the cylinders number 1 to 4 are. On the other side is the coils from 5 to 8, and it is controlled by the slave ECU, so which should be installed on the other side. So as you can see, the arrow, this is on the driver side. So from 1 to 4 on this side is the master ECU, and on the driver side is the slave ECU, which is controlling cylinders from 5 to 8. So I'm going to hook up my oscilloscope once again. Let's go back on pin number 13 on the ECU and on pin number 2. So to check the control on coil number 3 and 2. So let's see, is everything okay? Okay, so once again, this is the slave ECU, and I have opened up the plug which is controlling the coils, and I'm going to connect to pin 2 and pin 13. Just for reference, I'm going to check first this side, and after that the master ECU, which is on the bank, which we have an issue, at least from the diagnostic is saying. Okay, let's start the car. I'm going to leave like that just to start it. Okay, and as you can see, we have control on one of the wires, but on the other we don't have none. And yes, the engine is shaking for sure. Okay, so as we saw, we were connected to pin 2 and pin 13 on cylinder number 7 and 6. We had control on pin number 13, but we didn't have on pin 2, which is controlling coil number 6. And I guess we don't have issue only with one of the ECMs. I guess we have with both of them. So now I'm going to do the same test. Actually, while we are on this ECM, let's try the rest too. So I'm going to connect to pin 14 and pin 1, which is for coil number 5 and coil number 8, and after that we go to check the rest on the other side of the engine, so 1 and 14. Okay, so the rest 2 cylinders. Once again, we have only one working. Okay, so after checking the control of the spark, yeah, I have made some mistake. I didn't have some good contact on the leads. Once again, on this plug is the control of all the coils. When I tried second time, it turns out that all of them are controlled from the ECM on the both sides. This is from cylinder number 1 to 4, and on this side is from cylinder number 5 to 8. So all of them had control. Doesn't matter, the car was misfiring. And yeah, actually, let me show you. I am having some performance coils which I can use for removing this from my head. So this is some performance coils which can be used in this engine. So I have tried swapping the coils, so to be sure that the issue is not the coil. And after I swapping them, still the car was misfiring. And for some reason I don't get any misfire counters. Doesn't matter if I'm using ISTA or launch, doesn't matter. The misfire counter is staying at 0. Doesn't matter, the car is misfiring. So the next step which I have done, so to be sure that the issue is not the spark plugs, I have to rotate the spark plugs from this bank to this bank, but still the issue was on this bank from cylinder number 1 to 4. The next step which I have done is to rotate the high pressure fuel pumps. So I have removed this high pressure fuel pump and I have rotated on this side. Still, the issue was on this side. Yeah, the next thing which this engine has a really common issue is cracking on the exhaust manifold here. So I have removed the shielding here. So to see, do I have any cracks? Because if I have a crack here, the lambda sensor is going to measure some excessive link condition because of the air that is going to go here. But in our case we don't have any cracks here, so I have removed this from the equation. And pretty much the next thing which I'm planning to do is to remove the injectors and send them to a bench test to see in what condition they are. Because actually when I installed the spark plug on this cylinder here, cylinder number 2, for which we are having a fault code, the injector actually is getting a little bit carbonized, which means the mixture is kind of rich only on this cylinder here, which is kind of suspicious. That is why I'm going to remove all the injectors. I'm going to send them for a bench test. Yeah, for doing this I'm going to need to remove the rails on the both sides, so it's kind of picky job, but doesn't matter. This process is the same on N55 and yeah, on N63, pretty obvious. So I'm going to remove all the injectors, I'm going to send them for a bench test, and we're going to see what results we're going to get. Hopefully we're going to pin out the issue finally. Okay, so I managed to remove all the injectors. For those of you that know what is the procedure for doing this job, you're going to need a tool like this. Yeah, actually the tool for N63 and S63 is totally different than the ones for N55 and N20. So this is for these two are for N20 and N55, but for the V8s the tool is looking different because the placement of the both injectors is wider on the V8s. So here is closer and here is wider. So yeah, I almost managed to break down my tool trying of removing of the injectors because they were so stuck that it was literally impossible to remove them with the tool. I managed to remove only 4 of them with the tool. I were far away from the torque spec that BMW is recommending. For those of you that knows, the torque spec for removing these injectors is 5 Nm. If you go above 5 Nm, you need to replace the injector. Just by the looks of the decoupling ring, you can guess, did I manage to go above 5 Nm? I can assure you that I was far away from this, probably around 100 newtons, not 5. So for sure these injectors probably are going to be for the junk. Let me show you quickly the holes of the injectors, how disgusting they look like. So this is one of it. I'm not sure how I'm going to clean up the holes for the injectors. It's literally is going to be impossible. Yeah, here you can see some of the decoupling ring which is left inside, some of the brushes. So yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to clean this without everything falling down in the cylinder. Is going to be literally impossible. So yeah, the camera doesn't want to focus, but yeah, inside there is disgusting. So there is a lot of dirt and sand in the holes of the injectors, and to be able to remove the rest 4 injectors, yeah, I used the biggest hammer that I had. With the smallest one it was impossible, so I needed to use the bigger one. I just threaded up the injector here on this thread. Yeah, with this hammer I managed to remove it. I just needed to open up a little bit the hood by removing the shocks of the hood. This is how I managed to remove them. Now I'm going to send them for a bench test to see how bad they are, and yeah, by the looks of the nozzles they look pretty bad, but still we're going to bench test them just to be sure and on the safety side. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to need to replace all of them, but before replacing them, for sure I'm going to need to clean perfectly the holes of the injectors somehow. Okay, so the few injectors are here. They have returned from the bench test, and it turns out that 3 were totally bad and they were not working almost at all. 4th one was compromised, and we have 4 in kind of good shape. But in the end of the day we have decided to change all of the injectors, all 8 of them. So we're going to go with these Bosch units. I have opened up one of them. So yeah, this is not the OEM one, but is the equivalent of the OEM one. So just for comparison, so to show you, as you can see, this is made in Turkey, this is made in Germany. So we're going to install new decoupling rings. as we can see here. This is the OEM ones. They are kind of expensive. At least the injectors are coming with this cylinder ring here, the Teflon one. As we can see, we have it here. We have 8 of these decoupling rings for all of the injectors, and yeah, as we can see, we have managed to remove the old ones. They're in pretty good shape, so it wasn't so easy. We are not going to risk it. We're going to replace all of them because once again we have 4 bed. That's why we're going to go with the new ones. And actually BMW have a bulletin about this, that you need to replace these injectors much more sooner than the mileage that this car has right now. We managed to clean up the holes as good as possible. So I'm going to start assembling everything back together with the new decoupling rings. I'm going to need to use a tool for shrinking down a little bit the cylinder ring here, but I have a video about installation of injectors, pretty detailed video on N55. You can watch it up to see how it's done. Nothing special. So yeah, as we can see here, on this injector is 229, here is 200, 248, 313, and so on. This is the compensation quantity, and as we can see on the new injector, in this case, on this one is different. 273 is typed on different place. This is just the part number of the injector, as we can see here. Yeah, pretty much the same number. 136, as we can see here on the aftermarket one, once again 136. So yeah, this is the codes that we're going to need to add in the diagnostic after that, because if not, we're going to have rough idle or even unable to start up the car. So about the installation, this is the tool that we're going to use once again, which we have used to remove them. The important thing is when we install them in the holes where they sit, that we're going to need to use the torque wrench, and we're going to need to adjust them accordingly. In this case is only 2 Newton meters. This is how much force we're going to apply to the injectors so to install it in the hole, which is pretty much nothing. That's why you're going to need this type of torque wrench, which is kind of rare with this amount of force, only 2 Newton meters. And yeah, about the removal, you need to not exceed 13 Newton meters. If you exceed 13 Newton meters when you remove the injectors, you're going to need to replace them. In our case, we have exceeded much more than this. And probably many of you know that when these injectors fails, they start dripping fuel in the cylinder, and this is going to cause some scarfing because you are not going to have a good lubrication inside the cylinder. Hopefully this is not the case here. We're going to see when we install the new injectors, but I have seen a lot of cases when you don't replace your injectors right on time, that your engine is going to fail dramatically, because I believe this was with nickel seal coating on the cylinders, and you cannot fix this so easily. I know that right now there is some companies which is doing this, but in our country there is none. So yeah, if this happens, you're going to need a new engine. So hopefully this is not the case here. This comes for the N63 also, not only on S63. Pretty much everything assembled, the injectors, the rails, the ECMs. The only thing that left is to install the boxes with the air mass meters, but I think it's going to run like this without any issues. It should not cause misfires. Yeah, it's going to trigger the check engine light, but not big of a deal. So now I'm going to hook up the power supply to the battery, and I'm going to add the quantity compensation codes on all of the cylinders. As we can see, I have made some graph on it, so I'm going to add them up, and I'm going to see, is the car going to start up? Probably it's going to start up, but we're going to see how it's going to run. Okay, just to show you, this is the quantity compensation. As we can see, I have already written them up, and now I'm going to save them. So as you can see here, so yes. So I'm going to need to switch off the ignition. Okay. So this is the values. As you can see, they're fluctuating a little bit by plus and minus 1. Okay, so let's continue. Ignition on. sure that everything is fine, I'm going to read out the adjustment barrel once again. So just have to compare them. So one is 253, 2 is 208, 3 is 254, 478, and so on. Yeah, they look all the right numbers. So yeah, pretty much now I'm going to remove the paper from the intake and I'm going to try to start it and see how it runs. Okay, so it runs smooth. Now I'm going to install the air mass meters with the air filters and I'm going to let it warm up. Okay, so final conclusion, everything assembled. I have test drive the car for around maybe 30 or 40 kilometers. It has plenty of power, it runs smooth. I have filled up the both reservoirs with antifreeze, so the coolant is up to level. I have actually changed the oil. We have decided to change the oil because probably it was diluted with fuel. So we wanted to be sure that everything is going to be fine. Yeah, right now we are charging the battery because actually this car was with the original battery from the factory and the owner just replaced the battery without coded. He had a new battery without registered it and the car was doing some funky stuff with it. It was giving all the time some fault codes about the battery is going flat, that he needs to charge the battery, doesn't matter the battery was new. So that's why I needed to code it. Right now he have put not original battery but 105 amps AGM once again. So I coded the battery and right now the car is fine. Previously I was not able to keep it on ignition and right now as we can see the ignition is on and it's staying there. The car is not fully warmed up but still it has some temperature as you can see. The car is not fully cold. So let's get in the ECM. Actually, I have cleaned up the fault codes after the first drive. I had some fault codes for the tank ventilation, so probably he has some vacuum leak from the tank. It's not triggering the check engine light actually, but right now we have none after the last test drive. Probably after 2 or 3 cycles it's going to turn on the error code for the fuel tank, but for now I don't have it. And this is the other ECM. Previously on which we had hard misfire code for cylinder number 2 and as you can see right now we don't have none. We don't have any check engine light. As we can see the RPMs are pretty stable, the car is running pretty stable. I think this was the main issue, the fuel injectors. I'm going to wrap up the video here I guess, just to show you how it runs. Everything is fine. Yeah, this car is on 110,000 kilometers and yeah, it's still running good.